Welcome to the Community Air Protection Program online training series. This training will cover community steering committees, which is the key partnership guiding emission reduction programs and air monitoring under AB 617. Today, we'll cover the public process after a community has been selected for developing an emission reduction program or air monitoring plan. We'll talk about the role of the steering committee and who should be on it. We'll cover the steering committee charter and what it should include. Finally, we'll end with a few tips for successful meetings based on lessons learned during the first year of the Community Air Protection Program. After the CARB board selects a community to develop a community emissions reduction program, a community air monitoring plan, or both, the Air District will convene a kickoff meeting to discuss the process for convening an inclusive, multi-stakeholder community steering committee. The Community Steering Committee will then meet regularly throughout the process with meetings that are open to the public. So what is the role of the Steering Committee? Steering committees work with air districts to guide what goes into the local plans and how they are implemented. Successful community emissions reduction programs and community air monitoring efforts are the results of a collaborative, community-driven process, and the steering committee is the key mechanism to ensure community participation and leadership. The steering committee drives discussions around community issues and concerns and participates in making decisions on the plans. In addition to its fundamental role in guiding development and implementation, steering committees have a few specific responsibilities. One of these is to determine the final geographic boundary for the community. When CARB selects a community, it approves a preliminary boundary. It is up to the steering committee and the air district to work together to finalize the boundary. The final boundary can have implications for who can serve on the steering committee, which emission sources are included in the technical analysis, or where air monitoring is conducted. There are many different ways to approach each of these issues, but it is very important to finalize the boundary early in the process. Another responsibility of the steering committee is to prioritize objectives and strategies. This means determining what are the most important issues for this particular process, including what air monitoring should focus on, what the sources of greatest concern are that need to be addressed, and which strategies should be implemented to reduce impacts. The third specific responsibility is to help with outreach and engagement. The Community Steering Committee has a critical role in informing how outreach should be conducted for the process as a whole. This includes discussion of the types of media that should be used to promote meetings, languages for translating meeting materials, and local organizations that may be interested in participating. Community members are often representing neighborhood groups or other organizations. It is important for them to share outreach materials with their local communities to encourage participation. In many cases, committee members serve as liaisons by updating local residents on the progress to date and reporting back to the committee as a whole on their concerns. There are different ways to convene a community steering committee, but whatever the process is, it needs to be open and transparent. The blueprint requires an air district to work with community members to convene the committee, and we have seen a variety of different models emerge for committee recruitment and operations. For example, some communities use a co-lead structure where a community group partnered with the air district to reach out directly to potential steering committee members and share responsibilities for hosting the meetings and overseeing the process. In some other cases, the Air District had an open application process where interested community members could apply to participate. The Air District would review these applications to determine eligibility. As we move forward with the Community Air Protection Program, we will continue to learn from these different community models. Regardless of the structure chosen, Having clear expectations for roles and responsibilities is key to building a strong community steering committee, including the time frame of commitment and the expectations for committee members. Now that we've talked about the role of the steering committee, let's talk about who should be on it. The steering committee should have an inclusive and diverse membership that represents the community. To ensure that the committee focuses on the needs of residents, a majority of the committee members must live in the community. It should also include community members who work or own businesses within the community. Improving community air quality requires coordination from a variety of groups. CARB staff attend all steering committee meetings, provide training and support, and play a key role in identifying strategies to reduce emissions. To encourage diverse perspectives and solutions, the steering committee should include additional members from community-based organizations, schools, land use and transportation agencies, including cities and counties, local health departments, researchers, and labor organizations. We've just talked about community steering committee membership. Now let's talk about the charter. The charter is a document that the steering committee develops that sets out the committee process and structure. The charter serves as a common reference and point of understanding. The blueprint describes what the charter should cover at a minimum. This includes committee objectives, roles and responsibilities, meeting frequency, meeting dates, times, and locations that ensure accessibility for the community, use of facilitation services, and use of interpretation services. Facilitation services in particular can help with issues like how the committee will vote and resolve disputes. During the first year of implementation, we have learned several lessons that can be helpful as committees continue their work and for new steering committees. Committee members should have the opportunity to contribute to the agenda, meeting structure, and materials. Collaborating on these items is a great way to make sure the steering committee has the opportunity to raise issues and discuss their priorities. It is helpful to provide meeting agendas and materials in advance, particularly for more technical materials like emissions inventories or monitoring data, to enable enough time to review and prepare for the meeting. It is important to document steering committee priorities and discussions throughout the process, particularly so that later on, everyone has a common understanding of how decisions were made. Having a clear decision-making structure helps the process move forward. The charter is a great place to define that structure. Finally, accessibility is critical, and there are several ways to ensure everyone can participate. A few ways to enable access are live streaming video or audio of the meetings and archiving these recordings online, publicly posting detailed meeting notes, and providing food and childcare if possible. These lessons learned apply broadly, but we recognize that all communities are unique, and it is up to each steering committee to decide how they want to operate. What they all have in common is their central role in the local process. Thank you for watching this training on community steering committees. For more information, please visit our website.